The ship Deep Miner 9 drifted slowly past Neptune's icy rings. It wasn't a military vessel. It's just a mining cruise people with drills, scanners, and long days of silence. Captain Raoul Jensen sat in the control chair sipping cold coffee. He had worked in deep space for 22 years. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until today. "Captain," said Lee, the ship's scanner tech, "there's something out here." Jensen frowned. "Another rock?" Lee shook her head. It's single quotes, S ... too smooth, too big. Metal, and it's not moving." Jensen stood and walked to the main screen. What he saw made him drop his coffee. A shadow, large and dark, sat just beyond Neptune's orbit. It was shaped like a ship but massive. Bigger than anything humans had ever built. Bigger than Earth's moon. Silent, no heat, no radio, just ... There, they sent a drone. The small robot flew through empty space toward the giant structure. As it got closer, the lights on Deep Miner 9 flickered. "Power surge," muttered Lee, "just static." Maybe she didn't finish. The ship's speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke. Not robotic, not alien. It was human, soft, calm, chilling. "This is not your sky. You are passengers." Silence followed. No one moved. Raoul Jensen whispered, "Play that back." They played the recording 5 times. Every time, the voice said the same words. But the drone had no microphone, no speaker. It wasn't sending any sound. And yet, they all heard it. "Could this be an Earth signal?" asked Patel. The engineer, Lee, shook her head again. "Impossible. We're too far. And that voice, it's not coming from outside. It's..." "Don't..." Looked at each other. The crew looked at each other. "What is that thing?" asked Lee. Jensen didn't answer. They named it the Ark. It had no windows, no engines. No visible doors, just smooth black metal, curved like a sleeping beast. Orbiting Neptune like it had always been there. NASA, the UN, even China's Lunar Command tried to contact it. Reply, no signal. But every time a human ship got too close, the same voice whispered again. "You are passengers. Do not reach for the wheel." 6 days passed. The Deep Miner 9 stayed in orbit, watching, recording. Then something changed. At 3:12 ship time, the lights on the Ark blinked on just once, a soft white pulse across the surface. At the same moment, Lee screamed. She collapsed on the floor. Shaking, Jensen ran to her. "What's happening?" Lee's eyes were open, but she wasn't there. She spoke in a voice that wasn't hers. One by one, they took their turns. One by one, they disappeared. Then silence. She blinked, came back. "What happened?" she whispered. Jensen stared at her. You spoke in riddles. Lee looked terrified. "I saw something. I wasn't me. I was floating like I was someone else. Someone inside the Ark. The UN ordered all ships to pull back. Too dangerous. It's unknown tech, unknown purpose." But then came the second voice. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a full message sent across every human channel. awomansvoice.com. Ancient. "You found it. The ship that carries ships. The builder of fleets. You are early. But now, the door is open." The Ark turned. Slowly, with power no one could detect. It aimed toward the sun, and then it disappeared. Not into warp. Hyperspace. Just gone. On Earth, people panicked. Was it a weapon? An ancient god machine? A threat? Governments argued. Religions made prophecies. Children drew the Ark in schools. But no one knew what it really was. Until 3 weeks later, the Ark returned. It reappeared above Mars, and this time it opened. A long dark hatch slid apart. From inside came another ship, but not human. Not alien either. It was made of strange white glass, shaped like a giant feather, glowing with soft blue light. Behind it, more ships followed. 10, 20, 30. All different shapes, all quiet, all floating. And then one of the new ships broke away from the group and headed for Earth. In a dark room deep inside NASA, a scientist looked at the data and whispered, "We were never alone." Roel Jensen, now back on Earth, stood by the news screen, watching in silence. He remembered the voice. "This is not your sky." And he knew the Ark had only just begun to speak. News channels played the same loop again and again. A glowing feather-shaped ship descending through Earth's atmosphere. No heat, no fire, just drifting gently like a falling snowflake. People watched from rooftops and fields, air forces, scrambled jets, but none got close. The ship ignored everything. It landed in the Sahara Desert. Then it opened. But nothing came out. No aliens, no weapons, no sound, just an empty ramp. And a message broadcast across every screen on Earth. "This vessel is gifted, one of many. Step inside. Choose your path," governance argued. Was it a trap? A test? Then came something stranger. In cities across the planet, humans began having dreams. The same dream. They stood inside the glowing ship. They touched walls that pulsed with light. They heard a voice whisper, "One must. Pilot, one must decide. One must stay behind." And in every dream, the person chosen was different. At NASA, Dr. Layla Monroe ran brain scans on dozens of people claiming they saw the ship from inside. They all had the same neural spike, the same signals. "This isn't imagination," she said. "This is contact." Meanwhile, back in orbit, the Ark remained still like a watchful giant. From its dark body, more ships launched every few days. Some went to Earth, others flew to Jupiter, Saturn, and even beyond the solar system. They seemed to be seeding. Each ship carried a new message. These vessels await purpose. They are not weapons, they are keys. But keys to what? Inside the Sahara ship, cameras revealed only glowing corridors, smooth walls. No engines, no cockpit. It's just one central chamber with a seat shaped perfectly for a human. No one dared sit at first, until a woman named Alina Ward, a retired astronaut, entered the chamber live on global broadcast. She sat. The moment her body touched the seat, lights burst across the room. Symbols flew through the air like holograms, but alive. Her eyes rolled back, then she spoke. But it wasn't her voice. "You reached for the stars with fire. We traveled with thought. Now, thought and fire must walk together." When Alina stood up, she collapsed. Doctors rushed in. She was fine physically, but her brain scans showed something new. A second brainwave pattern, layered over hers, like another mind had touched hers. "I saw it," she whispered later. "The galaxy, the places we haven't found, the wars we were supposed to miss, the gifts we were supposed to carry." "What does that mean?" asked a reporter. She looked at the sky. "It means humanity was always meant to ride." The next day, another ship arrived, this time over Tokyo. But this one didn't land. It hovered for 3 hours, then dropped a small cube onto the roof of a building. Inside the cube was a single line of text, one species per seat. "The race has already begun." Governments panicked. What race? Who else was flying these ships then? Finally, Earth got an answer. A message arrived encrypted, bouncing between satellites. It wasn't from the Ark. It was from another species. Not human, not friendly. It read, "You were slow to wake. You are late to claim. The lanes are opening. We do not share sky." Back on the Deep Miner 9, Captain Jensen had returned to duty, but his eyes never left the stars. He knew what was coming. Not war, not peace, something older. a race that had been waiting for humans to catch up. And now that humans had the arcs, ships that could create other ships, they were being invited to join the galaxy, but not welcomed, just allowed if they were fast enough, if they were smart enough, if they survived. As more humans entered the ships and came back changed faster thinkers. Sharper senses people began to understand. The ships weren't just for travel, they were for evolution. And humanity had only just begun the first lap. The world was no longer calm. In just 2 weeks, 5 alien ships had arrived. Each ship landed silently, opened its ramp, and waited. All around Earth, people stood in long lines beside the glowing vessels. Some came with hope, others with fear. No one knew what would happen if they sat in the seat. But then came the first departure. A young engineer named Omar Faison entered the Johannesburg ship. He sat. Nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then the ship closed its ramp and rose in 2. The sky, it vanished. Gone. No message, no goodbye. Everyone thought he had died. 3 days later, a message arrived from outside the solar system. It was Omar. His voice was calm, clear, confident. "I'm alive. The ship moves through folded space. I can see hundreds of other ships. Some are human, some are not. This is a race. But it's also a test. Think we're being watched?" The world changed in an instant. People began calling the event the calling. Those who entered the ships were no longer just explorers. They were pilots, chosen, or maybe tested. At Earth Command, Dr. Layla Monroe ran new scans. On volunteers, she found something strange. Some people showed stronger brain activity near the ships. Their thoughts moved faster. They could guess the ship's responses before touching anything. "They're syncing," she said. "The ships are reading them." Like a mental handshake, not everyone could connect. Some stepped inside and nothing happened. Others touched the seat and collapsed. Only a few were accepted. In one of the European ships, a young deaf girl named Alina sat in the seat. The ship lit up instantly. She couldn't hear the voice, but she understood it. She piloted the ship without sound, without words. When she returned, her face was glowing with tears. "They don't speak," she signed. "They think." That moment changed everything. The ships weren't using language, they were using thoughts. And children, artists, dreamers, people with open minds were the ones connecting best. But not everyone trusted it. In Russia, a military unit tried to forcefully control a ship. They brought weapons, tried to hack the panels. The ship shut its ramp and melted into the ground, vanished completely. All 40 soldiers inside were never seen again. A warning. Maybe. Meanwhile, Captain Jensen of the Deep Miner 9 watched Earth from orbit. He still remembered the first message from the Ark. "You are passengers." What did it mean? Why weren't humans being called owners or riders? He asked Dr. Monroe during a private video call. She looked tired. Her reply was soft. "I think the galaxy doesn't see us as equals. Not yet. We've been given the wheel, but we're still on a leash." That night, Earth received a new signal. It didn't come from a ship. It came from beyond Pluto, the Ark. For the first time, it sent more than a whisper, a full message. All who sit must choose. Where you go is not where you return. Those who fly will be changed. Those who win will never be the same. Governments argued about its meaning. But it was already too late. Thousands had already entered the ships. Dozens had launched. The human race had begun. In orbit, one of the new pilots Omar sent one more message. "We're not flying through space. We're flying through history. This is a path laid by something older than stars. We're just now walking it." His ship disappeared behind Saturn's rings, and Earth knew one thing for certain. Humanity had taken the seat. Now it had to prove it belonged. Above Mars, one of the human-piloted alien ships drifted silently. It had stopped moving. The pilot inside was 14-year-old Miguel Santos. He had been chosen by the ship just 5 days earlier. A quiet boy from Brazil, Miguel had shown incredible mental sync during testing. He was the youngest ever to be accepted. Now, his ship wasn't responding. Earth Command tried to reach him. No reply. Cameras showed Miguel still sitting in the pilot's seat, eyes closed, breathing barely. Then the ship turned, slowly by itself, and started flying toward deep space. No one had ordered it, not even Miguel. Inside Earth's control station, Dr. Layla Monroe stood frozen. "He's not flying it," she whispered. "It's taking him." The signal from the ship grew weaker as it passed Neptune, then it vanished. For the first time since the ships arrived, humanity had lost one of its own, not in a crash, not in battle, but to something they didn't understand. 3 hours later, another signal came in. It wasn't from Miguel. It was from the Ark, a deep, vibrating sound. Not words, but a feeling, pain, loss, warning. Dr. Monroe translated the patterns. One path has closed. A pilot was not ready. A mistake was made. Others may follow. On the surface of Earth, panic began to grow. News channels aired reports of the first death. Parents pulled their children from the volunteer lists. Some called for all ships to be grounded. Religious groups declared it a divine punishment. Was humanity playing with technology it could not control? But some stayed calm. Captain Jensen watched the news quietly aboard the Titan. He had seen danger before. He had also seen courage. "This isn't a game," he said to his crew. "It's a mirror. The ships are showing us who we really are." Back at Earth Command, a new figure entered the story. Admiral Suri Bakshi, a cold, sharp-minded military leader. She had been against the Blink Drive project from the start. Now she had new orders from the Global Security Council. "We will control the ships. We will build human interfaces. We will decide who flies." Dr. Monroe objected. "They don't follow commands," she argued. "They follow connection." But Bakshi didn't care. "The next mistake could be war," she said, "or extinction." She ordered a test. Subjects trained soldiers to board a docked ship. They were given headsets to override the ship's controls. The ship reacted immediately. The panels went dark. The lights turned red. Then the ramp closed, locking the soldiers inside. 5 minutes later, the ship exploded from within. No fire. It's just dust. Both soldiers were gone. The Ark sent a second message. "Force breaks the passenger. Thought shapes the journey. You were warned." Even the skeptics fell silent. Humanity had not just made a mistake, it had been judged. Meanwhile, something strange happened near Saturn. Omar Faison's ship, one of the first to depart, returned. But not to Earth, to Mars. The ship opened its ramp. Omar stepped out, but he looked older, much older. It's almost like he'd lived 20 years. In just 10 days. He didn't speak. He only handed Dr. Monroe a small crystal cube. Inside was a memory, a recording of a new world. It showed cities floating in the clouds, beings made of light, and ships, thousands of them, moving like birds in a sky made of stars. "They're watching us," said Dr. Monroe, her voice shaking. "And time doesn't move the same for them." That night, Omar finally spoke. It's only 3 words. "He's not gone." "Who?" they asked. "Miguel." He didn't answer. He only pointed at the sky and smiled. One core was powerful. Now dozens are coming, falling from the sky like burning stars. Jabari and his team thought they were testing one piece of lost alien tech. But now Earth may be the center of a much bigger plan, one that started before. Humans even walked the planet, and time is running out. The ground shook as the new cores landed, silent, glowing, and surrounded by swirling dust. From space, they had looked like comets. But now, on Earth's surface, they sat like thrones made of alien light. Jabari stared, his heart pounding. "There's not just one," he whispered. "There are hundreds." Kofi stood beside him, frozen. This is an activation. A global one. Rhea pressed her earpiece, scanning comes. Multiple landings reported. One in the Amazon, one near the old Russian satellite base. One under the Pacific Ocean. Lena added a big one just hit Antarctica. Largest energy spike ever recorded. Martians in panic. The Martian military ship nearby lit up in full alert mode. Red lights blinked across its hull. Troops scrambled for cover. Missiles were locked and tracking the descending objects. One soldier shouted over comms. "They're not responding to hails. They're not alive, but they're thinking." Rhea grabbed the transmitter. "Don't shoot. You fire, and they may all activate." No one was sure who was in charge anymore, Mars or the cores. The global shift news reports began flowing in. Kenya. A small core lands beside a children's hospital. The hospital's broken equipment starts to heal itself. Japan. A core burrows underground. Hours later, an old volcano stabilizes. No more tremors. New York City. A core lands in Central Park. Trees around it begin to grow faster. Cleaner air spreads. People around the world begin calling them the gifts. But others say they're bait. The voice returns in the lab. The original core glowed again. A calm voice echoed across all screens and into Jabari's mind. Trial 1. Connection achieved. Trial 2. Human intent unstable. Trial 3. Collective decision required. "What does that mean?" Lena asked. Rhea looked worried. "It means Earth's fate is now a group project. They're letting all of us vote. Without telling us how. The human choice." Jabari had an idea. "Hook the core up to a global network," he said. "Let people everywhere talk to it." Kofi nodded. A voice poll. Simple answers, accept or reject. They worked fast, connecting servers, launching, feeds, translating languages. Within an hour, the core had access to 92% of Earth's internet. Then a single question appeared on every screen on the planet. "Do you wish to unlock human potential?" Below were two choices. Yes, no, the countdown began. 3 hours to vote. Chaos and hope. Some people prayed. Others ran. Cities lit up with debates on rooftops, in cafes, inside classrooms. Was this a gift or a trick? Leaders across the globe were divided. Some urged people to say yes, hoping for energy, healing, and peace. Others warned this was a way to lose control over the human mind. Jabari sat in silence, staring at the countdown. "Why now?" he whispered. The core answered, "Because now. You are finally listening." Twist-ending cliffhanger for Part 6 as the final minutes of voting approached. The core's light changed color from blue to deep gold. Suddenly, one of the smaller new cores nearby cracked open. A humanoid figure stepped out tall, metallic, but with eyes like fire. Kofi gasped. "That's not a drone. That's alive." "Ah!" Rhea raised her weapon. "We were wrong. They didn't just drop tech." Lena backed away. "They dropped their soldiers." The figure looked at Jabari and spoke in perfect English. "Earth is accepted. Prepare for integration." Jabari whispered. "Into what?" The figure answered, "The Ark of Species." Earth voted yes, but they didn't understand what they agreed to. Now the alien cores are opening, and what's inside is not just tech. They are living archives, messengers, judges, and Earth has just joined something far older and far more dangerous than anyone expected. The humanoid figure stood calmly as Jabari and his team stared. Its body glowed softly, like the core's, but it moved with purpose, its joints smooth, its eyes glowing gold. Behind it, the broken core shell floated into the air, repairing itself as if time was rewinding. Then the figure spoke. Integration successful. Human consciousness now linked to ARC network. Jabari swallowed hard. Wait, what does that mean? Raya's voice cracked. Did we just connect our minds to something alien? The figure nodded. Correct. You are no longer isolated. Welcome to the Ark of Species. What is the Ark? Lena stepped forward, confused. Is this a ship? A system? The figure answered. The Ark is not a ship. It is an ancient, designed part memory, part test, part refuge. It collects species who pass the threshold. It offers knowledge, peace, and shared destiny. It also delivers justice when needed. Kofi asked the most important question. Justice for what? The answer was chilling. For those who destroy their own worlds. A glimpse of the other, suddenly the lab's walls disappeared. Jabari looked around, but he wasn't in the lab anymore. None of them were. They were standing inside a vast digital space hub, massive glowing star map. Floating between stars were spheres of memory, showing other civilizations. In one, insect-like beings danced with electric storms. In another, crystalline minds pulsed with light as they built cities of sound. And then, a dark corner, dead worlds. One sphere flickered with screaming, another showed fire. Those, said the figure, are the species who refused growth. Earth's status, trial period, they were pulled back into the lab. The vision was over. The figure spoke again. Earth has joined, but you are under observation. The Ark does not control you. It watches, and if you grow in violence, it will shut you out. Jabari nodded slowly. So this is a second chance. No, said the figure. It is your last awe. The uprising just then, alarms blared from the Martian ship above. Unauthorized launch. Someone shouted over comes missile has been fired at one of the cores. A rogue human faction fearful of alien control had decided to strike. The missile screamed toward the core near Antarctica. But it never reached. The core blinked out of space, teleporting away. Then all the cores turned red. The figure's eyes glowed brighter. You have 3 hours. Remove all aggressive leaders. Prove you understand peace. Or the Ark will leave. Rhea whispered, if it leaves. The figure turned toward her. It erases what it touched. Earth unites for real in those next 3 hours. Something incredible happened. People around the world came together not in fear, but in hope. Riots stopped. Fighters laid down weapons. Governments formed emergency councils. Even the rogue faction that launched the missile surrendered when civilians blocked their base in protest. And for the first time in human history, Earth spoke with one voice. Jabari uploaded the final signal to the core. We choose growth. The core's final gift. The figure smiled not with a face, but with light. Then the Ark will stay. We will teach you how to build your own. Behind him, the cores floated into the sky, then reshaped themselves like puzzle pieces, moving into form. Above Earth now hovered a ring-shaped megastructure, a learning station, an Ark, built for humans. Final message as Jabari stood under the stars, Rhea beside him. He looked into the sky and said, we were trash too. Them once, but we turned their garbage into power. And now we're not just part of something bigger. We're builders of it.